the dancers have to be trained. Like not only doing tricks and having a bit of technique, you have to be trained. Like the muscles have to be in charge. You have to have good condition. You have to have good stretch and everything. So I think it's important that dancers really do good training every day, so that the body is always in good condition.
Welcome to yet another episode of Co.40's Insights Spot. This is a discussion platform where we trace the journey, break down the blueprints, and dive deep into careers of mature artists. My name is Shafiq. Join me as we welcome our next guest. And for the first time, we have a male guest on the podcast. So without wasting time, let's get right into it, and I hope you enjoy this one. Before we begin, what is it that you would like our audience to know about you?
Oh my God, that's a good question. I don't know. If we're talking about aged dancers, that it's still possible to bring across, like an interesting performance, even if you're, in my case, 60, and I still do perform here and there. Of course, in dance, we always think just until 35, maybe. We already start to kind of go back or off the stage. And actually, I think it's really nice to see experienced dancers on the stage. Yeah? Like when you see them, they just work simply from their presence. They just work with maybe less physicality, but therefore maybe more interesting and more deep in a way.
Thank you. And what has inspired you to stay in movement up to this age, where you feel like, okay, I'm 60 and I'm still in love with dance? What is the secret to that?
I think it's not a special recipe or anything like this. It's just something inside. I was doing sports, a lot of different sports when I was young. I like to ride the bike. When I'm in the bus or in the tram, I'm like, I need to get my energy out. Yeah? So I have this in my body. I have this thing of like throwing it out, and I like to work with my body. This didn't change so much in my life. Actually, it was always there, and it's still there. I'm quite lucky. I think I'm one of the rare dancers which didn't have major injury or any injury. I didn't break my ligaments. I didn't break my bones. I didn't break anything. So
through your dance career, up to 60, you have never had that.
I didn't break anything. So I'm really lucky. Of course, you have little problems here and there, like sometimes, but never broke anything. So this is something which I'm very lucky with my body, that my body allows me to do that also. Of course, I mean, I have a lot of colleagues, they destroy their knees, they destroy whichever body part, or not destroyed, but maybe got problems. And then, of course, it's another thing. But I was really lucky with that. But it's something, it just comes out of my inside. I want to move. When I hear music, I want to move. So it's like that. It's quite simple, I have to say.
Yeah.
And I like also to feel my body. You know, I like to feel my muscles. I like to feel the tension in the body, the possibilities of the body. Yeah. So I like to feel that. That's maybe that's a kind of recipe, if you want to say that.
Is feeling your body something that dancers can learn, or it's something that is natural? Do you think dancers can learn how to feel their body and move from their body?
I think I met very different kind of dancers in my life, and actually it's a good question what you say. I was always very wondering about people when they didn't feel the movement. Like when you see a movement has a certain musicality, a certain dynamic, a certain energy, a certain things like this. And then some people, they analyze it very much from their brain, and other people, they can analyze it from the intuition. Yeah? And I think I'm more analyzing from intuition. Meanwhile, also, of course, from brain, because I also work as a teacher many years as a choreographer, so you also have to learn to analyze in a different way. I think for me it comes from intuition. Yeah, I do it like this, but I know that other people they go very different. They have a very different approach, or a very different way to connect and to understand how to take or how to communicate with this movement they get. Yeah.
How do you teach that to dance students, trying to approach movement from intuition rather than from a perspective of how beautiful a movement looks?
First of all, I do it a little bit like the Rudolf Steiner Pädagogik, do you know Rudolf Steiner from Waldorf School? There's a big place here in Kassel, actually. It's like this thing of like, I'm trying to be the good example, let's say. Yeah? So this means like when I'm teaching, I'm not just like doing a little bit showing and then I let them do. I do. So I still do like a dancer. So that's the first thing, that people see, okay, this person is still there, physically present. So that's the first important thing for me. And then from there, at least the first third or half of the class is quite ongoing. So it's not like I explain and stop and then do and then stop again. No, it's not like this. It goes on. So I give very simple exercises and I try to take the people with me. So not over the brain, and trying to take them with me, with my body. And that's a different approach for sure. And then, of course, when it gets more complex and when you have to explain a little bit more, or in between, depending if you work with students or professionals, of course, here and there you have to explain things or go a bit deeper with the explanation, but I try to give very little explanation. I try to connect, directly with the body, let's say.
I know you said you're lucky that you have never had an injury and you're 61, but I don't think it's only luck. So what is that other part of being a movement director, artist and dancer that has kept you injury-free till 60?
I think the simple thing of staying in shape. Like still training. I never stopped training in my life. Never. Even also not in the holidays. I do my stuff, I go swimming, I go running, I do something, my exercise in the field, on the grass field or whatever. So I think the thing of like I don't want to give it up somehow. Yeah, the work and the body. So I always kept going because I teach a lot. So I'm still training a lot also. Yeah, so it's. Of course, if I do a bit more creation or something, then sometimes I have to go a little bit away from it. But then I also feel I need to do something because then it loses very fast the quality and the tension. So, but yeah, I was always like somehow the teaching was always something which went through my life after finishing as a dancer, which kept me going a lot. Yeah, because. I also have to show, so I cannot show something in the contemporary dance. You cannot just mark the movement; you have to show it, because otherwise the people don't understand what you are talking about. Because it's such a huge field of possibilities. Yeah. So
Interesting. And just for our viewers out there, how would you explain contemporary dance to them? Like someone doesn't know what contemporary dance is.
This is like when you explain contemporary art. Yeah, it's like, of course, it's also a way of contemporary art, and very difficult to say because it's such a wide field, such a huge place. And I think like maybe trying to work with the dancers in a little bit more open way, a little bit more maybe experimenting. Maybe, working with different ways of music instead of the classical dance. You have the classical music, of course, and then in the contemporary we can use composers which make special music for your piece, or you use like existing music, contemporary composers. There is a lot also, of course. So to create another atmosphere, a bit maybe more abstract atmosphere, maybe also not as narrative as in the ballet, like the storytelling from A to Z, exactly the story. So in the contemporary dance, we can open it a little bit more up, we can play a bit more around. Of course, we still have to have a clear idea behind, but there's, in these days, quite a lot you can bring in, I don't know, video, text, voice. So it's many people, they don't work only with the body, they also add other elements inside, and then of course it becomes more more exchange between different art fields, and yeah, I think it's something like opening up, let's say, maybe like that. So give other possibilities, or give other things a chance to bring it in, like maybe new impulses, new ideas, new images.
I love that.
Yeah.
Give other possibilities a chance.
Yes.
I would like to go a little bit back on to your dance background as a dancer. How was it, your dance career and background? Was it smooth? Was it tough?
Well, I think it was kind of smooth, because I was, again, lucky in that sense, because I was in a private school, which I had a really nice teacher.
Which school was it?
It was in Freiburg, a very small school. Okay. This doesn't exist anymore. It was a dancer from the theater, a Brazilian dancer from the theater, and he opened up that school. And then I was there for 2 years, and that's it. Very short. So this was actually a nice, let's say, entrance, and then from there I had, like, first in the beginning a few free projects around Freiburg, Basel, Zurich, around this area, so yeah, it was actually pretty easy going in, let's say. But then I was the first year in the State Theatre, and this was a bit of a war. What's that? Yeah, well, first of course, dance piece, and then opera, musical, this, children piece, and you're in the theatre from morning to evening. So, of course, this was a little bit of a shock, but I always found a way to keep it up somehow. Yeah? And then I was changing also very often companies, because I got kind of bored, or I got kind of like to the end of some place, and I had to say, okay, I'm leaving. I was not like waiting to leave, I was always leaving myself. So, but I have to say, in my time, the companies didn't have the quality now as it is now. It was very different. You know, there was still a lot of these old habits and old traditions in the theater. It was very different than now. Yeah. So now you can find very nice and interesting companies. No, you had to really search for a good place. It was not so easy.
I mean, now we have now contracts of dancers in the theater, as you know, in Faudination. But in the old days, did you have contracts?
Of course.
How was the contract situation back then?
I think it was the same like now. It's the same, also called ensemble solo, and mostly in those, let's say, kind of smaller companies between 12, 16, 20 people. There is always this structure of everybody has the same contracts, more or less. So there's not this solo contract, group contract. You know, when you go in bigger companies, it's different. Then you have also different categories of contracts. But in this one, in the companies I was, it was not more than 20 people. It was always like this. So we all had the same. Sometimes, of course, if a person stays longer in the theater, then it's different. Then you have it can rise, of course. Yeah. I think was more or less the same. Like yearly contract, and if you don't get the Kündigung, then you can stay. And so I think it was similar.
What was the toughest moment of your dance career in a theater setting back then?
Toughest moment? Actually, to be honest, in this room we had a lot of tough moments. When I was here working with Johannes Wieland, but I was rehearsal director, I was not dancer, there was a lot of tough moments and a lot of discussions with the director, because Johannes' work was very demanding, very confronting, also the public and also the team and and everything. So there was always a lot of discussions and something going on. But actually, it didn't hit me so much because I was just rehearsal director. As a dancer, yeah, of course. I mean, I had those moments, but somehow I always could also like, let's say, smell it a little bit before. So
sense it.
Exactly. I sense it before. When I sense like, ooh, it's going to a direction which I can really not do, or which is not really the way I want to do things, I start to say, okay, maybe it's better if we
part ways.
Yes, if we go different ways before the whole thing breaks down.
And I want to ask about your transition from being a dancer to a rehearsal director. Is it something you thought about, or it's something that happened?
Second one. Yeah, people ask me.
Did having a family affect your dance career?
Definitely, yeah, for sure. Because
tell me more.
Because I had kids very early, so very young. I was 24, 25. So of course there was already this responsibility, and then I had to kind of bring the money in the house, simply like that. So I was always trying to experiment and get further and to develop myself and everything. This was always my goal, but there was also this other side that I had to be aware to bring the money into the bank account. So so I had to find a way. But I was like doing a lot of different things to bring it up. Sometimes was too much. Yeah. I was dancing, I was teaching, I was doing choreography for an opera, I was doing choreography for my own company, I was doing, 1,000 things. Actually, to get back what you asked me before, when was the darkest moment, there was actually by the end of that time, it was before I started to work here in the theater with Johannes, I had a little bit of I had to calm down because I was doing just too much. To get the money for the family and everything. So yeah, this was something I also discovered in my life, that I like to work freelance, but on the other side, certain moments you need to kind of
get back in the structure.
Yes, so sometimes in between you have to kind of settle down, because otherwise you go like, what? You don't know anymore where you are. It's so crazy. Yeah.
And was it a decision of taking on the parenthood, or it was a situation?
I mean, we didn't plan. We said we do it like this because we're not this kind of people. But it came. So and then we said, okay, we have to find a way to do it. And I had a contract. I had 2 different contracts as a dancer in St. Gallen Theatre and in Malmö Opera. And then I decided, because the one in St. Gallen came first, and then I decided for that because I said, okay, I have to earn money. And then I let the other one go. But then I got another offer from this theater in Sweden, and then it was like, wow, shit, I didn't take this one because it was definitely more interesting, bigger theater, interesting company.
I want to jump a little bit further on you being a choreographer. What is the responsibility of being a choreographer in a house and of being a choreographer freelance?
Depends a little bit what it is exactly. I mean, in a house as a choreographer, of course, you have huge responsibility with the company, because you have to build up the company, you have to take care of the company, and then you have to build up your repertoire. So it's already a lot of different fields to work on. But of course, because of the structure of the house, at least you have already the hardware, you have already the house and the money, and everything is there in that sense. I always went between freelance and fixed contract, and I have to say, in the leading team, if it's choreographer, rehearsal director, company teacher, whatever, it's similar. There's not so much difference, because in the free scene, you work 12 hours a day, in the theater also. So there's not so much different. It's just a bit more small than the place you're working in. But I didn't feel so much difference in that sense of the workload. Yeah. But Yeah, as a freelance choreographer, depends a little bit. Like, how is your situation? Do you have a company, or do you just do commission work? Or it's also a bit like it's a bit different. If you do just commissioned work, of course it's easier because you just take care of your piece, of your work. You don't have to worry about the dancers. You don't have to worry about the company because it's there and you just work with it. But of course, if you have like a freelance company, it's even more work because you have to get the funding, you have to organize everything. There's no structure around you. You have to build up everything. So that's, I mean, a freelance choreographer in that sense, it's super heavy, it's super hard.
What is that major role that involves being a rehearsal director in a state theatre?
I think it depends the system. So I was actually lucky because I experienced two different ones. So one with the house choreographer, like here with Johannes, was one situation, and in Mainz it was different. It was a manager is the director. Dorman is a manager. He's not in the studio at all. So there you have a very different role as a rehearsal director. You're almost like a director. So so this also depends the situation very much. Yeah. So if you work with the choreographer in the house, it's very different because you have to do all the organization work, keep the dancers together. You have to make sure they are trained well, and then of course you have to support the choreographer. You have to support the work. As a director, it's very different because you do deliver in the creation process when the choreographer is there, but they are gone very fast. So and then after you have to take over the responsibility as a director. And then that's a very different situation because you have to start to bring in much more responsibility. You have to make decisions. You have to make artistic decisions. You have to replace people. You have to restage pieces. So you have to be very clear about the work so that it also comes across to take over the work of the choreographer. In the end, when I was the assistant of Johannes, I didn't have to do that because Johannes was very clear in his job there. Yeah. So, yeah, it depends really the place.
And on that point of working as a second choreographer, what advice would you give to someone taking on that role where there is a dance director as a company manager and then a rehearsal director literally as the choreographer when the guest choreographers leave?
Of course, you get in a lot of different situations because, as you know, the theater is like a machine. So you have to bring up all the productions, all the shows, which is a lot of impact and a lot of work to do. So what is important as a rehearsal director is I don't have to know each single step of the piece or of the dancer because this is something I cannot. I'm not a machine. So some they can do that, but then it may be very specific for one piece. But if you're responsible for many pieces, you cannot do that. So what you need to understand is like you have to be present in all the rehearsals with the guest choreographer so you understand what is this choreographer looking for? What is the specific idea? What is the specific way of moving? What is the philosophy? What is the special thing in the choreography? So you need to find out from each choreographer this. And this information you have to keep up every month.
Do you think it's important that rehearsal directors have a dance background or not?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. How do you want to tell a dancer what to do if you don't know how to do? I think as a manager and director, maybe it's something a little bit different, but as a rehearsal director, I think you cannot do that. When I was dancing company, I saw many rehearsal directors coming in and going out. And I know what it is, but yeah, I think it's important that the rehearsal director really knows about like dance. Maybe it's more ballet, maybe it's more contemporary, maybe it's more floor work, whatever it is, but knows has a special field and knows and can talk about it in working on the quality and things like that. But more like the overview and the understanding of what the choreographer is looking for, what's the idea there, because they can be super different, like what they are looking for.
How did you manage parenthood and being an artist at the same time?
I was trying many years to find different strategies. But I have to say I didn't find. I didn't find.
Keep trying.
I still keep trying, and I didn't find, let's say, the perfect one, because I was taking a job, and then, okay, do I take my family, bring it there, or not? Then I don't know if I will stay so long in this job. Yeah? So if I bring my family for 2-3 years, it's something heavy for the family to always change. Because, for example, we were moving from Freiburg to Kassel, from Kassel to Berlin, from Berlin to Wiesbaden, from Wiesbaden back to Freiburg. So quite a lot. Yeah? And my son, he was like the first 6-7 years, he was in 5-6 different cities. So, yeah, and for him was quite a lot. And it was a little bit tricky for him, this, like, to find his friends, to find his connection to the place and everything. So, but yeah, to say, so in the end, I have to say, it's better to keep the family in one place, and then I can always go back and forth and back and forth. So that's actually a better solution. Yeah. If you want to keep up in the dance world, you have to move. You have to be able to jump on different trains.
If you were a director, what would you do differently that would maintain the quality of arts in general and be less heavy on the dancers?
Let's say 3-4 premiere per season, which is already a lot for dance. But then I would try to build up, like maybe a lighter piece in the beginning, maybe then the stronger one a bit more in the middle, and towards the end maybe something which is a bit more light, if possible. But this is of course the perfect imagination, and mostly in the reality you don't manage to bring that up. Actually in Mainz was pretty good what we did. We didn't have so many guest teachers because we had so many guest choreographers. So we were 2 teachers in the company and we were mostly teaching. But still it was not so much teaching, I have to say, because I could share it with my colleague. And in this way you could handle the company good, and you knew when they are tired, you do something different. Like playing with the with the curve of impact and energy, so that it's not always just impact.
What would be a perfect platform for you to continue practicing your art?
What I discover now, because I had in the past years a few professor positions as a choreographer, it's interesting to have a position like this, because then you really can focus on your ideas and you can practice them with the students. You can practice, you can play around, you can see, and then you can try to use these experiences to work with the dancers. Because, for example, in the theater context, you have to deliver, and this means like, whoa, you just go out, but nothing comes in. I see different places that people offer residencies without the need of bringing up a result. So it's enough to have a subject, to have an idea, and to play with that idea. And in the end, you show a little bit what you experience.
And as a choreographer at 60, if I gave you 10 mature artists, 40, 45, 50, 60, 65, and so on and so forth, how would you approach that group to create a 45-minute piece on stage?
That's a good question. I think you have to be very open to the individual possibilities, because in this age people can have very different physical problems, so you have to kind of face that and be open to that. I think I would maybe do something where the individual can come more out. So if it comes to maybe a group situation or something like this, then you have to really reduce it to something quite simple, so that, I don't know, everybody can do it, because you might have very different body possibilities.
And if you have an opportunity to create a dance piece in a theater setting with less time, how would you approach it?
be very much prepared. Like, not too much risk.
Okay.
Not too much experimenting. Come up with a very clear idea so you can reach the people fast. Have a very clear structure so you're sure that it will work. So, like a clear, give clear task what you need, and try to go as fast as possible. But I think you cannot come and think like, okay, I see what I do. No, it doesn't work. I think you have to come and you have to maybe have a very clear musical structure so you know that it will work, everything. So the frame has to be, I think, very clear, very strong. The music, the costume, the stage has to be very clear so people know exactly what's going on. So that you, of course, then you still can be open to see what maybe if there comes another interesting idea, of course, but I think it's important to have a clear goal. Yeah.
If I asked you now at 60, what is dance to you? How would you explain it?
I have so much experience, not only body or physical experience, also mental experience, also experience with a lot of different ways of working and being in different positions. So I have a lot of information in my body somehow. Sometimes I can just think about a movement and then I just do it. So I don't have to, let's say, rehearse it so much. It's very interesting how the brain stays up. So it's a lot of like connecting brain and body.
Great, I love it. What advice would you give to your younger self as a dancer?
Whoa. Patience for to let things grow. Maybe this advice to myself because I'm a very impatient person sometimes. And then so I would advise this to be more patient.
Would you give the same advice to the younger dancers out there?
So, like to give this advice that to stick with something and don't come up with the first solution. So keep trying and keep finding something until you get to an interesting product, let's say. Because sometimes I feel in these days that young dancers, they are quite easy satisfied. So, and this is something, of course, as an experienced person, you see immediately if somebody takes more time for something or not. So, what is the result? So to be like to take the challenge and dive into the work.
As a choreographer, if you hold an audition at this moment, creating a dance company in a theater setting, would you consider age a factor for choosing those dancers and performers?
That's a very interesting aspect I always discover when I enter to a new place and I see the dancers, and then I'm thinking like, oh, okay, what's this kind of structure here? I think it's very important to have a range of age, I would say. I mean, it really depends the people. There's dancers, they can be with 40 still like 30. Like for example in Tanzmines we have a dancer, Marsa. She's I think now 41, 42 or even more already. I think already 43, I'm not sure, something like this. But she doesn't look, first of all she doesn't look like this, and then the other thing is when she's moving, she's a monster. So so I think you need a certain range and a certain structure to also to discover or to give the choreographer a good possibility, to play around, to create interesting pieces, range of people, different characters. But on the other side also you have to kind of create a picture with the company. So if it's too wild and too random, then also it doesn't work. So each person needs to fulfill a certain picture in this puzzle. So
what do you think is the most harmful structure for dancers today?
From my own experience, I can tell you something interesting because I was in the German theater structure for many years. And I had this kind of like this machine in my body, in my head. And then I went into a freelance company, still a company structure, but freelance, without any theater around. And this was for me something, it was like eye-opening, because suddenly it was like, oh, just focus on the work, just focus on the dance. Sometimes I have the feeling that the German state theater system is a little bit too heavy to the dancers. Because you have to fulfill this huge schedule, you have to keep these many different pieces up from the beginning to the end of the season, so it's quite long. The system is not as good as it could be for the dancers, let's say. The dancers, they need a little bit more of a rhythm. In the German state theater system, the premiere is on Saturday, the next piece starts on next Tuesday or Monday. So this is something which I think is not so good for the people. Because there's not enough time of rest, but it's not only about the rest, it's also about like opening your mind, getting new inspiration, getting new information. So I think the better system is let's say the freelance dance companies, because I mean, of course, they also have their challenges with if you have to do 150 shows of the same piece, it's also hard, yeah. But on the other side, the life is not as heavy as in the state theater, I would say. I think the state theater is quite demanding.
Yeah, so basically the dancers need enough rest between premieres for mental and physical recovery.
I think so. Yeah.
What would you wish young dancers and institutions understand about longevity?
The dancers have to be trained, like not only doing tricks and having a bit of technique, you have to be trained. Like the muscles have to be in charge. You have to have good condition. You have to have good stretch and everything. So I think it's important that dancers really do a good training every day, so that the body is always in a good condition. And I think that this would be more prevention for injuries than doing an extra injury prevention training or something like this. I think so. So maybe this is something which could bring in prevention work somehow, and then combine it with the movement back into the space. I think that's the same in the professional sport. If you look around, the football players which are well trained, like Ronaldo, for example, look how long he's playing.
Yeah.
I think he's still playing, right? Still playing. So, and he's like so well trained. You know, when he gets a hit, he doesn't care. Yeah, because his body is so strong. Yeah, but if you see then another one which is maybe not so well in shape with the body, and then it gets a hit, it's like okay. So I think that's something important to be really well, like healthy trained. So yeah, like how to work with your body that you still can do things, in 20 years. So but at least when your body is prepared, when your body is like ready, I think you can do certain crazy things, certain times. So then it will be not so easy to destroy you.
What is that one last important thing to keep your longevity going?
I think it's important to kind of like creating a cycle, a cycle of doing things, a cycle of taking information, reading book, going into nature, eating good, drinking an expensive wine. a good wine.
A good wine. Wine helps with aging.
Yes, exactly. I mean, staying alive, staying in communication with people, but not smoking too much, not like hanging around, going to party every night and these kind of things. I think with this you will not be able to stay long. Yeah, like the smoking, you can see that this is really something which is heavy for the body. After reducing a little bit the poison to your body.
Reducing the poison to your body. That is very important. Thank you, Michael, so much. Anything you want to say?
Thank you.
No, but thank you, Michael, for sparing this time. We have taken a lot of inspiration. The time was short, but it was sweet. And we hope we meet again for a longer session. But for now, we take the words of wisdom from you with us, and we shall grow together. And we hope the viewers out there can be inspired by being 60 and looking like 40, and all the tips and tricks and the video. So thank you very much.
No
really
problem.
appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy.